Catholic Church plays down links to Occupy Central. 2 Koreas mark truce anniversary. And more deadly clashes rock Egypt.
Good evening. A top local Catholic Church official made clear today the Hong Kong diocese has voiced support for the Occupy Central movement. The church also says it doesn't want to get involved in a political dispute. This comes just days after the church called for the start of a public consultation exercise on constitutional reform. Stephanie Choi has more.
The Catholic diocese has put itself in the middle of the democratic debate after it issued a statement that critics say encourages members of the public to join the Occupy Central movement. In the statement earlier this week, the church called for the start of a public consultation on political reform as soon as possible, so as to avoid civil disobedience. Speaking to TVB News today, Vicar General Michael Young said people have misunderstood the church's position.
The statement is asking for a dialogue. The statement is asking for a consultation to start as soon as possible to eliminate all the issues that will cause the civil disobedience. To this moment, I don't think anything is happening. And the government, Mr. C.Y. Leung said, it's not really that urgent, but I think it's really very urgent.
He denied that the church is getting involved in politics, even though it said it would offer legal help to those who may get into trouble taking part in civil disobedience. Young explained that the church will always open its doors to help those in need.
If the church voice out the citizens' desire, their aspiration, if the church says the election must be a fair one, a responsible one, and acceptable by all, or at least by the majority. I think the church is only doing what it's obliged to do. So we are not wading into politics.
Former Democratic Party chairman and lawmaker Martin Lee also waded in today. He said since democracy is in line with the Catholic belief that all are equal before God, there is no reason why the church would object to social demands for democracy. And Secretary for Education Eddie Ng said students should be given objective and unbiased information about the Occupy Central movement. He also said guidelines have been issued to schools urging students not to take part in illegal activities. Stephanie Choi, TVB News.
Meantime, a separate controversy involving universal suffrage. A group of women rallied today demanding an apology from Executive Councillor Cheng Yu-tong. They expressed outrage over Cheng's recent remarks that a screening mechanism in future elections would help prevent porn stars from winning. Rachel Leung has that story.
No discrimination, we just want democracy. The Association for the Advancement of Feminism staged a protest outside the government headquarters today, denouncing the executive councillor's remarks about porn stars or sex symbols winning elections. The group made clear what Cheng Yu-tong said was an insult to women. Members accused Cheng of both sexual and occupational discrimination.
Because it is only a label. Porn star is a label to women who is in the acting industry, or they are having sexy image in the entertainment industry. But it doesn't represent that they don't have the capacity or ability to participate in politics.
Protesters want Cheng to apologize and retract those comments. And they're threatening to take further action, such as filing complaints with the Equal Opportunities Commission. Strong reactions were sparked last weekend after the executive councillor said a screening mechanism in future chief executive elections is necessary so that a porn star does not end up leading our territory. Rachel Leung, TVB News.
LegCo President Sun Yat-sen today waded into the conflict of interest controversy involving development chief Paul Chan. He said Chan could do a better job with handling the case. But as Vicky Kung reports, the LegCo president doesn't believe the embattled secretary should step down.
There have been repeated calls for the Secretary for Development to step down in recent days over a conflict of interest controversy involving land owned by his family in the new territories. However, the Legislative Council president said today it's not ideal for Paul Chan to step down at this moment. Tang Yok-sing said Chan needs to stay on to push ahead with the Northeast New Territories Development Project.
But the project, of course, is one of the most important undertakings of the current administration. I don't think Paul Chan can delegate the power or the authority over the project to other people.
But the LegCo president believes Chan could do a better job to dispel public suspicion.
I noticed that even among members of the legislature who support Mr. Chan, there is a feeling that perhaps he can help to clarify things a little bit better by sitting down, producing all the necessary documents, and answering all questions, all queries about any conflict of interest on his part.
Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying and his team have come under severe criticism since taking office last year, and the LegCo president says that will not change anytime soon.
Tang also mentioned that without universal suffrage, anyone who takes up the city's top job will face difficulties in ruling Hong Kong. Vicky Kung, TVB News.
Turning overseas, Seoul and Pyongyang today mark the 60th anniversary of the Korean War truce. North Korea celebrated the occasion with a massive military parade. A top Chinese leader, Vice President Lee Yuan-chao, joined the North's leader, Kim Jong-un, as soldiers, missiles, and other weapons were put on display.
North Korea's military might was made center of attention during the 60th anniversary of the armistice that ended the Korean War. Goose-stepping soldiers, armored vehicles, and trucks carrying cannons, multiple rocket launchers and missiles followed the march through Pyongyang's main square. Fighter jets and large military helicopters performed a flyover, witnessed by the tens of thousands of soldiers, North Korean and foreign veterans of the Korean War, as well as diplomats. Among the guests, Vice President Lee Yuan-chao. Lee and Kim Jong-un were seen exchanging words just as the country's missile arsenal paraded past. A military expert in Seoul said the parade included new surface-to-air missiles that are used for anti-missile defense. In a speech, Kim's main military aide, who heads the North's 1.2 million strong army, said Pyongyang sees peace as a top priority. Yet its military is aimed at safeguarding the country from outside invasion. The parade marked a holiday the North Koreans call Victory Day. This, even though the 1950-53 Korean War ended in a truce, and the Korean Peninsula remains technically at war. While some say the choreographed military pageant was intended to strike fear into North Korea's adversaries, South Korea's president was far from scared. Citing North Korean attacks in 2010 that killed 50 South Koreans, President Park Geun-hye used her anniversary speech to warn provocations from Pyongyang will not be tolerated. But she also pointed out Seoul would work on building trust with the North. And Park called on Pyongyang to stop developing nuclear weapons.
In Egypt, there are reports that more than 100 people were killed in fierce fighting during mass rallies for and against the military overthrow of President Mohamed Morsi. The clash has come after word that Morsi is now under investigation for murder and conspiracy with the Palestinian militant group Hamas. Alan Buckner reports.
The mass rallies across Egypt were called by military chief General Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, who's become a hero among the anti-Morsi demonstrators. In Tahrir Square in Cairo, this man said, "I come here for al-Sisi because he's coming to cleanse the country." Rival rallies were also called by the Muslim Brotherhood, the Islamist group the ousted president belongs to. The allegations Morsi faces could carry the death penalty if he's convicted. Prosecutors allege Morsi and the Brotherhood worked with Hamas to carry out a deadly prison break during the 2011 uprising against former dictator Hosni Mubarak. Yesterday, demonstrations started peacefully and lasted into the night as fireworks lit up the sky. There were similar scenes of support for the country's military chief in Alexandria. But as the night wore on, clashes between pro-army and pro-Morsi factions erupted. Police used tear gas to break up the crowds. At least 7 people were reportedly killed in this coastal city, with more than 100 injured. And the Muslim Brotherhood claimed dozens of people were killed and almost 200 were hurt by security forces in Cairo. A Brotherhood spokesman accused the military of shooting to kill, with bullet wounds being suffered in the head and chest. While over 200 people have been killed in the violent demonstrations since Morsi's overthrow less than a month ago. Alan Buckner, TVB News.
The United States has assured Russia that American prosecutors will not seek the death penalty if whistleblower Edward Snowden is returned. The former spy agency contractor is wanted in the U.S. for espionage for leaking sensitive surveillance secrets. He claimed in his asylum request to Russia that he fears torture and even death if he's returned to the U.S. In a letter sent to the Russian Justice Minister this week, U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder wrote that the criminal charges Snowden now faces do not carry the death penalty, and Washington will not seek his execution even if he is charged with additional or more serious crimes.
And still ahead in our newscast, Cleveland kidnapping suspect to spend his life behind bars, closing arguments in the Bradley Manning trial, and Man U fever grips Hong Kong.
And a warm welcome back. China and the European Union say they've reached an amicable solution in a long-running argument over Chinese-made solar panels. Mainland officials said today that Chinese exporters have agreed to sell their products at a minimum price in the EU. The settlement comes after negotiations that began in June, when the EU announced that duties averaging 47% on Chinese-made solar panels, cells and wafers would take effect next month. Both sides say they're happy with the deal, with China and the EU averting what could have snowballed into a damaging trade war. The EU is the largest export market for Chinese solar panel products.
To the United States now, where the man who kidnapped, raped, and tortured 3 women in Cleveland for a decade has accepted a plea deal in order to spare his own life. By agreeing to serve life behind bars, Ariel Castro will not have to stand trial so that his victims won't have to testify about the horrors they endured. Here's NBC News with the details.
Do you understand, Mr. Castro, that upon entering this plea, you will never be released from prison?
I do understand that. A life sentence without parole plus 1,000 years for kidnapping 3 young women and holding them hostage in this rundown Cleveland house for a decade. 53-year-old Ariel Castro also pled guilty to murder for causing one of his victims to miscarry a baby after beating her.
I knew I was going to get pretty much the book thrown at me.
It's never coming out except nailed in a box or an ash can.
Outside court, many in Cleveland expressed relief.
Let this guy go to jail right away.
Castro told the judge he had an addiction to pornography, adding he had been abused.
I was also a victim as a child.
Castro's victims were not in court, but earlier this month released video statements.
I want everyone to know how happy I am to be home. Thank you for the support. We need to rely on God as being the judge.
Through their lawyer today, they said they were relieved by the plea. Castro has asked to see the daughter he fathered with one of his captives.
I miss my daughter very much.
That decision will be up to her as to whether or not she ever wants to see her father. It will not be up to him.
Castro will be sentenced August 1st. His victims will be given the chance to make a statement at that time. The house is set to be demolished.
A U.S. judge has begun deciding the fate of soldier and whistleblower Bradley Manning. This after the prosecution and defense wrapped up closing arguments at his court-martial. Yesterday, Manning's lawyer insisted he's a whistleblower, not a traitor, as claimed by the U.S. government. The defense said Manning was negligent in releasing classified material, but he did not know Al-Qaeda would see it, and he did not have evil intent. It is the key point prosecutors must prove to convict the 25-year-old of aiding the enemy. That's the most serious of 21 charges that he faces, and it carries a potential of life imprisonment. On Thursday, prosecutors called the defendant a traitor for releasing more than 700,000 documents through WikiLeaks. They said Manning had betrayed the trust his nation had put in him. It is not clear yet when the judge will hand down the verdict.
In Brazil, Pope Francis urged young people to change a world where food is wasted and discarded while millions go hungry. It was the 5th day of the World Youth Day Festival. Driving through the throngs of faithful in his open-air Popemobile, Francis often ordered the car stopped so he could shake hands and kiss babies. The people-friendly Pope even shunned the car several times and walked among the crowd. The pontiff also presided over a Way of the Cross service. The normally solemn procession reenacting Christ's crucifixion received a Broadway-like treatment in Rio de Janeiro. Up to 1 million people have turned up to see the Pope.
And back locally, police say there's been a spike this year in the number of cases involving passengers flying to Hong Kong with prohibited items. Such items include stun guns and tear gas spray. And it may simply be that these travelers don't know it's against the law here. Billy Kwong reports.
What you see may not be what you think. This torch is in fact a stun gun, not just giving out lights, but also electric shocks. Don't try and put this lipstick on. It's actually a tiny tear gas spray container. Knuckle dusters, extendable batons are also on the list of seized items. Police say cases involving possession of arms and ammunition tripled in the first half of 2013 compared with the same period last year. The problem is, it's legal to carry many of these items in places such as the US, the Philippines, or African countries.
We noticed that these travelers, the point they departed or the destination they want to go, both the location are not illegal for possession of these items, but just transit Hong Kong. We believe that most of these travelers, they do not have the knowledge that in possession of these items are totally illegal in Hong Kong.
This may seem to you just an ordinary mobile phone, but under X-ray it turns out to be a stunning device, which can be a lethal weapon.
On top of that, even handbags embellished with knuckle dusters or bullet-like accessories may be banned from flights for security reasons. Police are calling on people to be aware of Hong Kong's laws on weapons and ammunition, which could see offenders paying up to $100,000 in fines and spend 14 years in jail. Billy Kwong, TVB News.
Environmentalists have raised questions about the effectiveness of a proposed rubbish levy. They say because of a lack of recycling facilities here in Hong Kong, the levy may not achieve the goal of reducing the city's waste. Evelina Lung has this story.
Ms. Lam, who's from Hong Kong, moved to Taiwan 20 years ago. The island is well known for its recycling scheme. She says living there has helped train and encouraged her family to recycle their rubbish. She admits that the process does take a bit of time to get used to. Take a carton of milk as an example. Instead of simply putting it into the recycling box, Lam has to wash the carton first so it won't give off a bad smell in the house. But it's all for a good cause, Lam explained. Her family of 4 only throws away 1 bag of rubbish per week. Some environmentalists, however, remain skeptical over the government's push towards recycling here. They claim Hong Kong doesn't have the technology to pick out non-recyclable synthetic rubber in items such as cartons and toothpaste tubes. So these items still cannot be recycled. They are urging the government to devote more resources towards developing the recycling industry, or else they fear it will be hard to persuade the public to support a rubbish levy in Hong Kong. Evelyn Lang, TVB News.
All right, Man, over to you for some Man U news.
That's right, Man U are in town and everybody's really excited about that. Football fans in Hong Kong have been spoiled for choice recently with some of the Premier League's biggest teams in town this summer. The latest club to turn up are none other than the Premier League champions Manchester United, who are due to play local side Kitchee on Monday. Scores of Man U supporters and the press have given the Red Devils an enthusiastic welcome as they arrived at their hotel in Pacific Place near Admiralty. United have been touring the Asia-Pacific region this month and played out a 2-2 draw in Japan just last night. Well, Usain Bolt gave fans in London something to cheer about when he set the fastest time of the season in the 100 metres. The Jamaican, who set the track alight at the London Olympics last year, is looking to do the same at the World Championships next month in Russia.
With Londoners marking a year since the Olympics, the British capital was looking to build on its legacy by hosting a high-quality track and field meet this weekend. Star of the show was, of course, Usain Bolt, 6-time Olympic champion and consistently the world's fastest man over the past 5 years. And he didn't disappoint the tens of thousands of fans who packed the Olympic Stadium to watch him dash to glory again in the 100 metres. His time of 9.85 seconds was the fastest this year, making him the firm favourite for gold at the World Championships in Moscow next month.
Everything's come together slowly but surely. I'm happy with my performance. It wasn't the best start, but it was a good execution. I got it done, so I'm happy.
Bolt skipped the 200 metres, allowing his Jamaican compatriot Warren Weir to have his moment in the spotlight with a winning time of 19.89 seconds. Another Olympian who repeated his winning display from last year was Grenada's Karani James, who put on a dominant display in the 400 metres. The action at the IAAF Diamond League meet continues later today when Britain's double Olympic distance king Mo Farah takes to the track.
All right, you haven't seen Man U yet?
No, they play Monday, and I'm going to be at work, but I'll be watching from work.
Oh, darn it all, drats. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Good night.
Hello everyone, it was mainly cloudy with a few showers and squally thunderstorms today. Now at 5 p.m, a trough of low pressure continued to bring unsettled weather to the northern part of the South China Sea and Guangdong. Today's temperatures ranged from 24.9 to 31.1 degrees, and the current temperature is 27 degrees Celsius. 12.6 millimeters of rain has been recorded since midnight. So Freddie, how's the weather tomorrow? Mainly cloudy with a few showers, isolated squally thunderstorms tomorrow morning. Temperatures range from 26 to 31 degrees. Tomorrow's API is forecast at 15 to 70 and the pollution level will range from low to high. The maximum UV index forecast for tomorrow will be about 10. Now, here's the latest global weather update. Cloudy in Taipei, showers in Xiamen. Showers in Guangzhou and Macau. Rain in Seoul, cloudy in Tokyo. Rain in Ho Chi Minh City and Manila. Showers in Kuala Lumpur and Jakarta. Rain in Karachi and Mumbai. Sunny in Cairo, showers in Nairobi. Showers in Brisbane, Melbourne and Auckland. Cloudy in Toronto, showers in New York. Sunny in Vancouver, cloudy in San Francisco. Thunderstorms in Paris, Amsterdam and Zurich.
And that's the weather. Have a great evening.